Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we got some good old legal mindset. Pokemon patent rejected, big pal world win. And I heard about this through a friend actually, that apparently the patent had been rejected or reappealed or something like that. Because I know that they had gotten one of their patents to go through. So I think it might have been that exact same patent that got approved that is being reappealed. I think that might be the one that got rejected, or it could be an entirely new one, who knows. So yeah, that's why we're watching this video, to stay informed, because I actually am interested in this, because I genuinely don't want Pokemon and Nintendo to win against Power Worlds, because that essentially creates this precedent where big companies are allowed to sue little companies, add in mechanics to destroy the opposition, and essentially just have these monopolies on these genres, which is dumb as fuck.
Pokémon has had their patent rejected by the Japanese Patent Office. This is a giant win for Power World and a huge step in their lawsuit between Nintendo, Pokemon Company, and Power World, and their attempt.
I will say this: I find it funny how the Japanese patent gets rejected, but for some reason the American patent is the one that goes through. It's like, okay, cool, great, yeah, yay, thanks, America. For showing us how you really stick to your guns. Just annoy you enough and you'll give them a patent. Meanwhile, Japan's like, what is this that you're presenting us exactly? And they're like, well, you can, I mean, you see it, right? And they're like, yeah, we see it. We're just baffled that you think we're stupid enough that we're gonna approve this.
To dominate Pokemon and Nintendo, their attempt to dominate the Pocket Monster genre. Of course, we're going to talk about that in the Legal Mindset. We teach you be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire. This is a fast facts version, the quick and dirty version of the latest in legal news. If you like this format, make sure you like the video and leave a comment below. So let's get right into it. Let's get my PP right here. The Pokemon pack.
Can he not say like that? Can he not call his fucking PowerPoint his PP? Please, I ask, I beg. It's my one request.
Patent rejected. So let's talk about this. As background, obviously, Nintendo and the Pokemon Company International are engaged in a vicious lawfare campaign against Power World to corner the entire pocket monster genre. So they're trying to go after this entire genre, and they're trying to lock this down entirely.
Yeah, and the issue with this as well is that if they go after this, they could go after other games with similar mechanics, like Digimon. They could go after Digimon, because Digimon is the same thing as Pokemon, except that, guess what? Since Pokemon is short for Pocket Monsters, guess what? Digimon is short for Digital Monsters. Oh my god, what? But they're essentially the same thing. Except that it's the only difference is that one's in a Pokeball and the other one's in a phone. But they're the same thing. It's like you collect the monster, you level it up, it evolves, it becomes stronger, and it has a final evolution where it's at its strongest. They're all the same. So they're the same thing. It's like just the implementation is different.
Lawsuit is for patent infringement, not copyrights. That's an important distinction. Oftentimes people go back to the character designs and go back to, okay, this character looks like this one. Well, that's not actually what this is for. What this is for patent infringement, which is for the actual mechanics that underlie the systems. So saying, hey, this system is similar, that's the problem, not necessarily the design or the art. Now, of course, some of the art.
Yeah, like this all started not because, if you remember correctly, this all started quite literally by Nintendo, because they claim that not the game. It wasn't the fact that the monsters were too similar to theirs. Their issue was with the catching of the monsters, throwing the Pokeball or throwing the ball to catch the PAL. That's what they had an issue with, and that's what they initially started this lawsuit with. Honestly, I've honestly have now lost track about what it's genuinely about, but that's primarily what I remember is that the lawsuit started because because Pal Worlds had the throwing of a ball to catch the monster, and they wanted to claim a patent on that mechanic, the where you throw the ball and you catch the monster and it goes into the ball. And I think they didn't really succeed with that.
Does play into certain elements, and we'll get into that. But the case is currently in the Tokyo District Court. This is a Japanese case, although there are related U.S. patents, and obviously what happens in the U.S. is related to that. But the patents generally in Japan are reviewed by the Japanese Patent Office, the JPO. So I'm going to be using that term, JPO. So the JPO recently, just now, rejected one of the Pokemon patents, we'll talk about that, as lacking an inventive step, essentially saying, hey, this is not doing anything new. This is doing something that has been done before. And the patent office themselves cited older games such as Ark, Monster Hunter 4, Craftopia, Kantai Collection, shout out there, and Pokemon Go itself. Literally, Pokemon got owned by Pokemon Go. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is here.
Yeah, I didn't even think about Monster Hunter. They're totally right. The whole thing where you have a pal that follows you, attacks when you're aggro, and is idle and neutral when you're idle and neutral and not attacking, and it follows you around when you start walking. Monster Hunter has that as well with the Palico, the cats. I had completely forgotten that Monster Hunter has that. And yeah, Ark has it too. All these games that they list have that mechanic, you know? So it's like, bro. And it's funny because so does stuff like D&D. Like D&D, if you summon something until you desummon it, it just follows you around. Like if you follow a wolf to follow you around, to be like your extra eyes and ears and whatnot, like a canine unit dog, and that wolf will follow you around until you send it away. So it's like, and that's in D&D, which is older than Pokemon. So it's like old games have existed longer than Pokemon, older than the there are games that are older than Pokemon that have had the summon mechanic, which means that this isn't anything new that Nintendo and Pokemon has even done, because older games have done it before them. Like they're trying to patent something that's older than the creation of their game.
And it suggests that Power World isn't just copying Nintendo or Pokemon, but there's decades of established game mechanics that are underlying what's going on here. So this complicates Pokemon's situation greatly, as another patent was derived from this denied patent. This is what I've called, what we've talked about in this channel as divisional patents. I talked about this previously in my coverage of Pokemon versus Power World, and this is a legal strategy. So I know this looks complicated and there's a lot of kanji here, but what you got to pay attention to is this is the one that was denied. So this patent was denied. Why is that important? This is important because there's another patent that was divided off of the one that's denied. So now this one that was divided off is under scrutiny, right? So this patent, this patent has been denied. This one's gone. So now this one definitely in trouble. And even this one,
it makes sense why the bottom one would be in trouble, because if the bottom one branches off of the one that was denied, then that brings into question the validity of how actually about whether or not they should actually have this patent. And then you'll look at this patent and be like, well, I mean, if the previous one got denied, then this one should obviously be denied as well, as it is a subset of the originally denied one. And like he's about to say, this also does affect the original previous one, because it's like, well, if we're gonna deny that one, why don't we deny the previous one as well? And then it might go all the way back, and then all the patents are denied because one got denied, it could create a little domino effect where they all get denied because it's like, all right, well, I mean, if there's things in this one we don't that are obviously, not worthy of approving that they denied it, who's not to say that the things that caused this one to get denied don't exist in the previous one? The previous ones were two other branches, and the one that's existed before that. Like, so they'll start looking into the previous ones and be like, well, I mean, if this one isn't good, then it's time to deny that one as well or reappeal it, what have you. And then they can essentially just reappeal every other one. And that would be an even bigger win because that means the other patents that they had are no longer apply and other companies are allowed to use them. And it could allow Pal Worlds to maybe take other things, or rather not take but borrow ideas from other mechanics that Pokemon has used.
Parent patent, you got to go back and ask some questions. Wait a second. Is this completely legit? Because if this part of the patent is illegit, then maybe a larger part of this is not legitimate as well. So there's a lot of questions this brings up as to the legitimacy of the other patents, right? Is it a silver bullet that takes out everything? No. Does it severely damage their legal strategy, and does it send Pokemon looking for excuses and looking for other things? Yes, absolutely, it does. So this is a pocket pair W without any holding it back at all. And the interesting thing, and this is a very fun unknown factor, and perhaps we'll get confirmation one way or another at some point, but there was a mysterious third party. We do not know whether or not it was Pal World, right? Whether it was Pocket Pair. We don't know. It probably was, but we don't know. They filed examples with the JPO, the Japanese Patent Office, of prior artwork. And the Japanese Patent Office let everyone know that it was the filing of this prior art which led to the rejection of the patent.
Let's go.
So this gives us a template for fighting Nintendo. So whenever Nintendo files these patents, well, people can go, third parties can go to the Japanese Patent Office and give them proof. Say, hey, here's why you should not grant this patent, because they're just absolutely picking off the past. This is nothing new, and this.
Honestly, this sounds like something that should be implemented in our patent offices as well. Or something similar in America where you can like reach out to them and be like, yo, we think that this might be a dumb patent. Why? Because, it has existed before. If we had something like that, maybe it could have been denied here in the States as well. The one that they got. And maybe we'd see something similar as to what's going on right now in Japan, where they're like, the citizens were able to voice their opinion loud enough that the patent got rejected. Maybe if gamers who were invested in this Pal World's Pokemon lawsuit were able to reach out to our patent offices here in America and be like, yo, this is what's going on. This is why this patent that Nintendo is trying to push is a bad idea, and here's the proof as to why, and here's proof of other games that have existed before using this exact same mechanic, and other games coming out later using the exact same mechanic, and them never saying anything about it.
Definitely opens up the scrutiny of other Nintendo patents, not even just Pokemon, but just more broadly Nintendo. There's probably a lot of mechanics that they're trying to lock down in general, overall, that they really don't have any right to. And there's an extensive list of games that use the same mechanics, which Pokemon is trying to monopolize. We had Ark, Tomb Raider, Zelda, Titanfall, Rune Factory 5, and those are ones that were cited by Pal World, that even Pal World brings up. But Pal World also argued that mods are also a good reason why there's prior art that should be considered. And that's something that I think is very, very important, especially since Nintendo refuses to acknowledge mods as art, right? So they're saying, hey, mods are not actually art. They're something that is that is really just derivative, and therefore we're not going to actually allow that. And if you're asking, am I Am I updating my PowerPoint due to typos in mid recording? Yes, I am actually doing that. Okay, so there.
This is the thing that I don't understand. Like that confuses me with all this is like when it comes to mods. So do they consider mods something that is defendable under this or something that is not? Because if they don't consider mods to be their own form of art and they don't, and they think that mods are okay, then why have they gone after every, mod out there that involves Pokemon? How come they shut down an entire Pokemon remake, or not remake rather, but an entire fan-made Pokemon expansion that was quite literally gonna, that a whole bunch of Pokemon fans were excited for? They sent them a cease and desist like 2 days before the release, and it was a mod, a fan-made mod of Pokemon with its own custom like region and certain custom like Pokemon and its own custom map and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, well, if you're gonna stop those, but you're not gonna stop other mods that, are like Pokemon, like the Dark Souls mods and all that stuff, then why are you going after Pal Worlds that's like Pokemon? How come you haven't gone after all these other things that are like Pokemon before, but the moment Power Worlds comes out, you go after that immediately? That's, I feel like, the biggest question. And everyone sort of kind of knows the answer or has a guess as to what the answer is.
There we go.
Money.
Got it back there. So yeah, Palworld's arguing that mods like Pixelmon in Minecraft, Nukamon, Fallout 4 prior art, and Nintendo refuses to confirm that mods are art. Of course, the court is not going to care whether or not they confirm that or deny that. Nintendo can say whatever they want to say. They're going to look at that, the court, and it's going to say this has been done before. And that's the lack of an inventive step. And that's where they got in trouble in the past, and that's where a lot of their other patents can also have issues. In a conclusion, Japanese judges are going to defer strongly to the finding of the patent examiners. So the patent examiners are really the ones that are the technical experts or the specialists. So that's not good for Pokemon. The judges are not going to strongly go against the JPO unless there's a strong reason.
Yo, can I just say, is this a random Japanese W? When it comes to like them being very, very nitpicky with like everything that they like have to do, or it all has to be like by the books. Is this like a rare W for them in this aspect? Where like, all right, they're like, all right, you want to play this game? We're gonna inspect every single word in this patent to ensure that it's actually worth giving you the patent. And then they saw all these examples and were like, yeah, no, we can't give it to you. So funny if it is, because it'd be like they're screwing themselves because they're being even extra nitpicky because it's Nintendo. And it'd be even so much funnier if these people that were in charge of the patents were fans of Power World and knew all about everything that was going on, and we're like, oh yeah, it's our time to shine, boys. We're gonna inspect every inch of this fucking document that they're presenting us with.
And why they should go against the JPM. Pokemon has already modified one of their patents during the middle of the lawsuit. That is extremely desperate. Imagine that. You're in the middle of a lawsuit, and the whole point of the lawsuit is the validity of the patents and patent infringement. But how is the judge supposed to decide what's been infringed upon if even you don't know what's being infringed upon? Think about that. You're like, well, what is it that you're actually suing for? And you change the whole basis mid-suit. It just doesn't make much sense. So that's what's going on here. Now, Pokemon is also, and this is the rumor, the scuttlebutt, and I know the Pokemon people will be crawling out of the woodwork to comment on this one, but Pokemon is likely preparing a survival-style, Power World-ish spin-off, which is why they're trying to monopolize the genre, because they're not creative, because they're not doing new stuff. What they
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was it. If they were trying to like make something like Pal Worlds, but because Pal Worlds is more popular and more successful because it came out first and it was the first in its like genre, it might look bad if, Pokemon tries to release a competitor with Power Worlds already being really, really popular, and them trying to bank off the fact that it's just, it's the Pokemon brand, and then, people seeing reviews instead of buying it first, or seeing like videos of gameplay that, these people who get early access to it put out, and then they see it's very lackluster compared to Power Worlds, but it's the Power Worlds competitor. They might just not buy the Pokemon game and stick to Power Worlds, because like, okay, why am I gonna buy the inferior product just because I'm feeling a bit nostalgic? Is that all they're gonna essentially try to do with their own Power World spin-off? Just nostalgia bait? Like, oh, here's Power Worlds, but guess what? Instead of having Pal, whatever they call the pals, you have Charizard and Mewtwo and Mew and Arceus and all these other legendaries and all these other really popular Pokemon. Are they just gonna bank on people being like, oh yeah, I love Charizard back from Pokemon Red, or oh yeah, Blastoise was my favorite in Pokemon Blue, or be like, oh, Pikachu, hell yeah, I got the Pokemon Yellow Special Edition. Is that what they're essentially going to bank on? People remembering the games fondly and buying your subpar product? Because if that's the case, then yeah, this totally makes sense as to why you're still pushing this fucking lawsuit, even though you clearly aren't going to win it no matter what.
want to do is knock off Power World and have the right to do that because they've kicked Power World out of the market. What they want to do is be a cheap Power World knockoff, right? And try to take over that side of the market by kicking out Power World, because Power World's already proved their concept. They proved that's a viable concept. So now they're trying to come into that market. I don't think that's smart. I still think that the best conclusion is still an amicable, a friendly settlement between Nintendo, between Pocket Pair and Pokemon Company International particularly. And I think that is all in the hands of Nintendo and the Pokemon Company. They're the ones that could decide to settle this.
I'll wait for it to finish.
And that's the way it should go. But let me know what you guys think is going to happen in the comments below, and I will catch you on that.
All right, okay, I'm glad I waited. So what I was about to say is like, it's so dumb because Nintendo could have made so much more money out of this if they hadn't actually tried to sue them to try to get them to stop. Because like, imagine if instead of Nintendo trying to sue them to stop, they had gone the opposite route and did a Pokemon Power World crossover with Power Worlds, and then they did a Power World Pokemon crossover, since they want to start doing DLCs with one of their games, with their next Pokemon game. That would have made them so much more bank than them trying to sue and trying to monopolize a thing. But that's the issue with Pokemon, is that they're very greedy. They want to keep everything to themselves and they don't want to share with anyone. Or rather the corporate heads of what is Pokemon and the Pokemon brand and the Pokemon games. And it's honestly sad to see, because the game would be so much more successful if they were just friendly with Power Worlds and the Power Worlds team. But they're not, and they're instead choosing to dig their own grave and whatnot. And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing. But alas, there's nothing we can really do about it other than watch and hope that, they lose every single lawsuit in home territory, which forces them to lose the lawsuits here in America. So yeah. But anyway, those are my thoughts. I like I said, this is a subject that I'm interested in personally myself, because I want to know where this leads, because it's very dumb that they're trying to do all these power plays just because they want to monopolize a certain genre of the gaming industry. And it's like, bro, just stop. Genuinely stop. You're literally trying to stifle creativity. Just genuinely stop. But yeah, I hope they lose. I hope they lose every lawsuit and then Power Worlds comes out on top in the end. It'll prove a point. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, and all that YouTube jazz. And I'll catch y'all in the next one later.